So Tanera, this is the second time you've been on here. This time we are in a different position. We are, yeah. Now we're married. It's fine. We are in a different position now. We are finally debt free.
Let's go.
Let's go. So my question is, when I first came to you and said, "Hey, I want to do this," what was your first thought?
Thought it was doable. I didn't know how that would look, how we would figure it out.
Yeah.
So I think your first idea was to pay off our mortgage in 15 years. I was for it. I just was open to it.
Okay. Because I remember you saying before that you when you were younger, you didn't see yourself even in a house or whatever the case may be. And to go from that to now being debt free, like how does that feel?
Yeah, so not being in a house, not having a mortgage.
There we go. Okay.
So
yeah,
I saw myself in a house always.
Okay.
When I was in my early 20s, when I didn't have the information, and the Bible says my people are destroyed by lack of knowledge, not meaning we don't have any knowledge, but we don't have enough knowledge, or especially in certain areas. Before that, I didn't know anyone who had large mortgages. I had a few cousins who may have bought first-time home buyers or short sales and things like that. So they had very inexpensive mortgage. I never knew anyone who had a mortgage that was hundreds of thousands of dollars. So the price point, in addition to having a 30-year mortgage when I was in my early 20s, seemed like I was in a contract for something that I may not want to be into for a long time. So I wasn't interested. I'm not gonna say I was scared. I think I didn't have the knowledge, didn't have the examples. So I definitely was like not interested in having a 30-year mortgage. That's before I realized that you want to have equity, you want to have home ownership, you want to be paying yourself and not someone else, instead is what you would do with paying rent. So before I had that knowledge and that experience, it seemed like something that was not desirable at all.
So what I'm hearing is you had commitment issues. That's what I'm hearing. I don't know. Put it in the comments if that's what you're hearing, because that's what I'm hearing.
Possibly.
But during this journey, there were several people who told me, "You're crazy. What are you doing? Why would you do that? You could be investing in the market and that extra payments that you're making and so forth." Did you have any of that when you were talking to your friends, or did you talk to anybody and did they say, "What are you doing"?
I have a few people that I share with. I didn't tell a lot of people. That's honestly, unfortunately, in the Black community, especially the inner city Black community, paying off your mortgage is not a common conversation. What we're hoping from us sharing, that it becomes more common and more normal. But I share with a few people, and some people might just be like, or oh. And the way I would share probably was different than the way you would share. Sometimes people would say, I want to go on this trip, or I want to buy this bag or something else high end. And I would say, we can't do that right now because we're using our extra money to pay off our mortgage. Different things like that. I think that's how I would bring it. So for them, then it became less, less, I'm blanking on the word I want to say, but it wasn't something that people were interested in. It wasn't cute.
Yeah, it wasn't sexy.
That's the word. It was less sexy because people didn't want to, they want to do what they want to do in the moment. And they also, if they want you to do it with them, they also want you to do it. But when they know you're restrictive and you're doing things like budgeting, then it doesn't sound sexy. So you might just get an or they just move on a conversation. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's not something I'm interested in. I'm living my life the way I want to live it. But then I had a few people who are on this journey as well, or want to be on this journey. So those people are more so like, that's what's up, and they cheer you on. So you get a range.
Yeah. So now that we've done this thing, we're in a position to be able to do whatever we want to do. And I think it's important, especially as African American people, to make this normal, like normalize this thing, like having a Benz or having a BMW or having the latest sneaker, whatever it is. I think we should be able to normalize this, being debt free and be able to do the things that your parents may have wanted to do, but didn't know how to do it. And now we have a lot of information out there to be able to do the things that we want to do. And now it comes to the execution part, which is not, again, it's not sexy, and it's painful sometimes, especially if you're maybe the only ones in your circle or friend group or whatever doing it, kind of setting that trend. So what's next for you?
I want to buy an Airbnb. I would love to have vacation properties. I want to have a venue that we can rent out to people. And I also want my designer bags and my shoes and my vacations. I want it all, but I also want to do things that's going to set us up for more, that add more value, enlarge our portfolio so we can leave a legacy. So we're not just living this life now, but our children's children also get to reap the benefit of what we started.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for joining us again on the debt-free portion of Wealth as a Journey podcast. Yo, man, I'm so excited.
We're debt-free.
So excited. Let's go. Let's go. All right, guys. So we're back, man, with my son here. My son, what's your name, bro?
Che.
All right, Che Willis Jr. here. He has been going on this journey with us, being debt-free. I remember when we first moved into this house, and I used to take him to was it daycare? And then who we listen to on the way?
Dave Ramsey.
Yep. Listen to Dave Ramsey. And the reason that we were listening to it is because reinforcement on the things that we should be doing on this journey. Now, if you want to follow Dave Ramsey, cool. If you don't, that's cool too. At the end of the day, as long as you get to the destination, it's all good. So, buddy, my question is, even though you may not know what of a big deal this is that we've done this as a family, how do you feel?
I feel fine, I guess. It was pretty cool when we went to the chase and we got the house paid off. And then we did the party poppers.
Yeah, did the party poppers. That was cool. So one thing that you said when we came back was you think that we're going to give you this house when we go to a retirement home. Is that what you think?
I thought that was going to happen.
But who told you that though?
Me.
No, you're bugging. Yeah, that's not happening. We're going to live in this house forever. Okay, and then no, you can't have it, man. No.
Why not?
No, because it's ours, not yours.
But you just said I could have it upstairs.
I never said that.
Yes, you did.
I didn't.
You did. He said you can have it when we're when. I don't know. He said we can have it. He said I can have it at some point.
Yeah. We'll leave it to you.
See?
Yeah, you can have it at some point. But I just wanted to say that it's important for you to see these things, because these things need to be normal for you. So now you know what you can have, and involving you in budget meetings moving forward, that me and your mom have, so you know how to set your budget up when you get a job. I think that's going to be important as a kid. So when you become an adult, you get a job, you're going to know exactly what to do with your money. And yeah, man. So thank you for coming on this ride with us, bro. Hey, family, this is Che Willis coming back with the special edition of Wealth as a Journey podcast. Guys, we today's a big day for us as a family. In a good way. Today's a big day for us. And before I start, as always, I was about to jump right in. I'd like to thank everybody who's liked, who shared, who subscribed, who's dropped a comment in the comments for Wealth as a Journey podcast, who's gave an encouraging word, text, phone call. I really, really, really appreciate it. On this podcast, we always talk about, and I need to do a better job just talking about what the podcast is about, because I always have in my head when I listen to podcasts, I've been listening to it for a long time. So I assume that whoever's listening to this podcast has been listening to the podcast for a long time. And after realizing that's not really the case. So if you're listening to this podcast or watching this podcast for the first time, Wealth is a Journey. We talk about all things growth, all things that's going to make you a well-rounded person, mindset. We talk about health. We talk about fatherhood, motherhood, wealth building, budgeting, investing, entrepreneurship. We talk about the whole thing because at one point in time or another, you're going to face one of those things in your life: health, wealth building, budgeting, and fatherhood, motherhood, and all the things, mindset. So if that's what you're looking for, you came to the right place. For all the new listeners, the Willis family has been on a journey. And this podcast specifically, we're going to talk about just putting it all together. We got introduced to Dave Ramsey years ago, and I gave a shout out to my boy Hassan West. It's my guy from high school. I asked him one day, like, yo, you reading any good books? He's like, yo, I've just read The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. Go pick the book up. So picked the book up, and I said, wow, this is awesome, because when I got out of college, one of my lifelong goals and dreams was to be able to retire by the age of 45. And mind you, I'm 21 at the time. I just graduated college. I'm just graduating college. So fast forward, didn't have a plan. I didn't know exactly how I was going to do it, but I just knew that that's something that I wanted to do. So when I get the book in my hand and I'm reading it, I'm like, oh my God, this is it. Dave Ramsey, if you don't know, talks about different baby steps. You save $1,000 as baby step one, as your starter emergency fund. Number two is pay off all your consumer debt, meaning credit cards, car notes, student loans, all your consumer debts except your house. Baby step three is getting your emergency fund and building that emergency fund up from $1,000 all the way up to 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund. And all the while, you're doing a budget. So that's how you're going to know how much money you need for 3 to 6 months. Then the 4, 5, and 6 is start your investing in your 401ks, doing 15% of your income, and then also saving for your kids' college, getting the college fund together. 6 is starting to pay your house off. And before I get into, and then 7, I'll talk about that. 7 is live like no one else, so then you can live and give like no one else. So be outrageously generous with your giving. That's maybe step 7. I'm a part of an entrepreneurship group called the Morning Meetup. From the host is David Shands. I love this group. I've been in this group for a long time. I talk about it on this podcast very, very often. We are reading The Total Money Makeover. And when I tell you that there are a lot of people, a decent amount of people, not a lot of people, there's a decent amount of people who are upset that we're reading this book, I'm trying to figure out how or why you will be upset with somebody who's trying to help you get your finances in order. Now, I will say that you may not agree with all of the methods, but the bottom line, what he's trying to talk about is set a budget up so you know exactly where your money is going. And if you know where your money is going, then you can invest, you can get out of debt, you can save for the future, you can go on vacations, but your budget is going to dictate exactly what you can or can't do. And he's trying to get our reliance off of credit cards, which, do I use credit cards? Yes, I do. My wife, yes, we do. But my stance on that is, if you're not responsible enough to pay the credit card off before those finance charges hit, I wouldn't use them. Because credit cards, or any type of, when you're borrowing from the bank or whatever the case may be, you can 100% get in trouble if you don't pay it off immediately. You'll end up paying way more for the thing that you bought than if you just paid cash for it. So I don't really understand how you can be upset with somebody like that, especially for our community, meaning the Black community, because I grew up and we had everything that we needed. Maybe not everything that we wanted, but we had everything that we needed. And I saw different things. Now that I'm looking back, I saw different things that I'm like, okay, well, maybe we could have done that different, possibly. So I'm saying to myself, now that I'm grown, I'm going to do something different than what I saw growing up, to put myself in a position to be able to retire early if I choose to, be able to be outrageously generous if I'm led to, things of that nature. And this plan, to be able to send my kid to college with no student loans, like, how can you be upset with somebody like that? Like, that really doesn't make any sense to me. Now, if you're on this journey with say Dave Ramsey, or any type of journey at all, you're going to have people that are going to tell you, hey, you can't do this. Like, think about how many people maybe told Kobe Bryant that he wasn't going to go to the league. You're too small. You're not going to go to the league. Or anybody who's successful, I'm sure once they told people their dream or what they desire to do, they were told, you're crazy. You cannot do that. What's going on, family? This is Che Willis from Wealth as a Journey podcast. I don't know if you guys know, but I help families who are living paycheck to paycheck live the life that they want to live through budgeting and investing. If this is you, or you know somebody, go to wealthisajourney.com to book a free discovery call to see if we're a good fit to work with each other for either budgeting, or if you're a beginner investor, again, you can book a free discovery call to see if we're a good fit to work with each other. Again, wealthisajourney.com, wealthisajourney.com. Let's get back to the episode. So when my church had Financial Peace University, shortly after I read the book, The Total Money Makeover, which basically goes in depth on how to be debt free. Like, it goes into like really in depth on how to do it. Like, I was all in, because I knew what the desire of my heart was to be able to retire by 45. And then once I read the book, I'm like, this is it. Like, this is how it's going to help me get there. So my church sees greatness. They had Financial Peace University. So from 2012, I think is when we had it, if I'm not mistaken, we were on this journey. And in this journey, we had, my wife and I, we had uncomfortable conversations, because at the time we didn't have our finances put together. So we were together, but we were going in opposite directions. We made sure all of our bills were paid. We made sure our son was taken care of when he came around, or when he came on the scene. I didn't mean when he came around, but when he came on the scene, and everything was fine because it was comfortable. But as I'm going through the Dave Ramsey podcast and just listen to different sermons and things of that nature, I'm realizing, like, yo, something is not right. We need to combine our finances so we're working together as a team. So when we moved into this house now, I came to her and I said, hey, listen, I think this is what we need to do. we need to combine our finances. I didn't know exactly what that looked like. So I leaned on Lamar Waples. I reached out to him. He was on his podcast a few podcasts ago. My man Milton Reeves Sr. I leaned on him as well. And one of the people that helped me to know that this is possible is Rick Edwards and his wife, Charlotte Edwards. They had gone through Dave Ramsey's program years ago. They stood up in front of the church and said that they were doing Dave Ramsey's program, or they were going to be leading Dave Ramsey's program before we had Financial Peace. And it showed me that somebody that I know went through the program and it worked. They talked about paying for houses. And this is back in 2012, paying for houses, cash. Like, that's crazy. Paying for cars, cash. And I'm like, yo, how are you doing this? Like, this is insane. So I reached out to him. Just said, hey, how did you do this? So he told me exactly how he did it. Got it. Bet. Okay, cool. That's all I needed to know. And off to the races. So the uncomfortable conversation that I had with my wife was a must. And it was a struggle. It was a very big struggle with us getting on the same page with finances, getting on the same page with money, and how we did our monies, and how we were going to merge this thing. And after years of butting heads, we finally got it together. And then when we got it together, good things started to happen. So when I have these budget calls with different people, and I talk to them about what's possible, like when you and your wife or you and your husband get together and you combine your finances and you do life together, good things happen, especially if you are going somewhere or you have a plan to go somewhere. And when I heard about, being able to pay the house off and things of that nature, and talking to Rick Edwards, and then talking to Lamar and Milton about how to combine finances, like, that's all I needed. My wife was on board, and good things started to happen. So we ended up writing out a plan on how to, we did a thermometer, and the thermometer had tick marks on it. And it said, hey, we're going to pay the house off in I think it was like 7-8 years or whatever the case may be, but it was January 1st of 2023. And in that time, we got a in-ground pool. We got a couple different home projects done as well. Got a car, a Tesla a few months ago, paid for that cash. But I'm saying all that to say is, like, when you work together and you're going somewhere, good things happen. Like, God added just things to us, and bonuses and stocks and just different things of that nature that helped us to achieve our goals. So so I'm overwhelmed right now. Sorry. So we had some things happen where we got the pool, we got the car, we got this and that and everything. And it felt like we had our goal in place, but because we bought those things, it kind of pushed the timeline back. But we were still believing that God was going to help us achieve our goal. We just didn't know how. Like, how's this going to happen? And all right, I'm gonna go into the story. So one day, I get a call from. I get an email. I'm sorry. One day I get an email from work saying, "Hey, you need to, we're switching all of our information over to Fidelity from my job, and you need to log in and set your login and password and so forth and so on up." I'm like, okay. I almost deleted the email. So what happened is I went in on to work on Monday. This was a Friday evening. I got the email. Went in to work on Monday. I opened up the account, did my login and password, opened it up, and I saw all this money in my account. And I'm like, where did this money come from? I had no idea. So I went to my manager, I went to the GM, and they said, hey, well, they didn't tell you that you had, such and such, stocks or whatever. I said, no, I had no clue. So long story short, I was a manager, reluctantly. Let me tell you that I was reluctant to be a manager, but I did it anyway back in 2012. And you got stock options, and I had no idea that you got that, and that's what happened. So I opened up the account 9 years later, and this was 2021. I opened up the account and I saw that all this money was sitting in the account. So asked questions, and I found out that that's what it was from. It was from me taking that job reluctantly, and then as a result of me taking the job, I got the stock options. But what I didn't know is that if I had not have found that that information out when I found out, that following year, I would have lost out on being able to cash them in or turn the options into actual shares of stock. So I believe that was God maybe hiding some things from me and allowing that to grow, because it was from him that I heard to get the pool. And you can go back to that episode and watch that episode. And even though it felt like it was pushing the timeline back to when we were looking to pay our house off, God already had some things off to the side for us, waiting for us, which was pretty cool once I discovered it. So long story short, we continued to budget for extra payments that we were making on our mortgage. We kept making payments. We kept making extra payments every month. If it was $250, $500, $1,000, if we could do more, we did more, just to try to knock that number down. So last Thursday, I opened up the account and I saw that it was enough to have some extra and be able to take care of the mortgage as well. So today, we went down to Chase Bank and we paid our mortgage off. We paid the mortgage off. So I'm just so grateful, man. So grateful to God that he hid those stocks from me, that I found out when I did. And now we're in a position where we went through the Dave Ramsey program, like I had mentioned before. And now we're at baby step 7. And the thing that one thing that upset me, not about this, but just thinking back to people who said, hey, you can't do this. Hey, you can't pay your house off. Hey, why are you doing this? Why are, just, and maybe they weren't trying to be negative, but if I was a weak-minded person or my wife was a weak-minded person, then their negative speak over what we were trying to do would have hindered us from doing what we had plans to do. So if you are one of those individuals that hear about somebody doing something, just be careful about the way you present it to them, or you objecting to what they're trying to do. And if you're the person trying to do the thing and you believe that that's what you're supposed to do, you gotta stay away from those people if you're kind of on the fence. Like, if you're one negative comment away from quitting, because it's the process is long, it's tedious, it's you got to persevere through some things, because life is going to happen, things are going to come up, you might have to slow down your process, but you got to keep going. You got to keep going. And what we're trying to do is trying to normalize Black people, brown people, living wealthy. We're not wealthy yet, but we're trying to normalize us as a people being able to look at somebody who looks like them, be able to have their finances right, and be able to live the way that they see people living, that they may see on, Instagram or whatever, that may be lying, like really living. And we're trying to normalize that. And maybe you're the first person in your friend group or your family who is on this journey. I'm telling you to stick with it, keep going. It's worth it. I'm telling you from experience. And if you're hanging around haters, you got to get away. If you're hanging around people who may not be speaking positive over your situation, you got to get away until you're strong enough again to handle that. So hopefully everything that I said made sense today. I'm just overjoyed. I just thank God. Thank the people who that were in our corner, who encouraged us, who told us to keep going, told us, hey, we're doing this thing too, once they found out. And it's cool, man. It's cool to do something that seems impossible, because nobody that is doing that. So if you're on your journey, get out there and get to it. We have to be the change that we want to see. Nobody's coming to save us. We got to go get it. Like, that's it. Thank you.